Conditions of service for many workers in Ghana, coupled with low salaries, have been frowned upon on many occasions and have been identified as major causes of the low standard of living. The Labour Act 651 enjoins people 16 years or over at the workplace to be paid at least the national minimum wage, which is the ceiling below which it would be illegal to pay workers daily within the specified period of work. These include agency workers as well as home workers. However, a worker may be required to work beyond the fixed hours of work without additional pay in exceptional circumstances, including accident-threatening situations. The TUC board says the revised daily minimum wage for the year was fixed at 5 Ghana cedis 24 pesos, an increase of 17% from the original figure of 4.48 Ghana cedis by the National Tripartite Committee. Other conditions include the fact that every worker in Ghana is entitled to not less than 15 working day annual leave with full pay in any calendar year of continuous service. By law, the minimum working week is 45 hours, but collective bargaining has established a 40-hour week for most unionized workers.
Ghana, as a member of the International Labour Organization, is a signatory to the convention, the International Convention on National Minimum Wage Fixing. Member countries are enjoined to set up what is called national minimum wage in a country to be negotiated. It is normally done through consultation between government and its social partners, employers and workers. Workers led by their unions, employers led by the Employers Association. Do consult in fixing what is called a national minimum wage. Over the years, almost every year, the tripartite committee meets to discuss national minimum wage. And when there is an agreement, it becomes a statutory obligation on all employers that they pay the national minimum wage. The national minimum wage is the wage below which ideally no employer should have paid. If anybody is engaging labor, the least paid person should not be below the national minimum wage. So the national minimum wage serves as a safety net for the vulnerable to ensure that people in employment are not exploited. In Ghana, yes, we fix the national minimum. We can as well also look at sectors of the economy and also have their minimum. But then when the national minimum wage is set, another process of determining wage at the workplace is through collective bargaining, which is done between employers and workers. So the collective bargaining process is another form where workers negotiate for their wages at their respective workplaces. But the national minimum is a national minimum which serves as a guiding pole for everybody. Because it's the least paid, below which no worker should be paid, there are a lot of challenges in fixing because it has to take account of well-established industries, medium to small industries, and indeed all activity in the economy. The 2014 national minimum wage consultation began late 2013, around October thereabout. The social partners, the tripartite, were determined that they will finalize the wage before the 2014 budget was read. But unfortunately, because of some constraints, we could not fix the national minimum wage.
In an interview, Kofi Asamoah admitted that there were some lapses, but emphasized that in spite of the constraints, the TUC will work hard to ensure that Ghanaian workers receive wages that can take care of their families.
Discussions are ongoing. The social partners have met some number of times. Subcommittee work has been done where some indicators and factors had been established as basis for determining the national minimum wage. So it is the expectation of workers that as quickly as possible, the national minimum wage for 2014 is fixed, so as to alleviate the least paid in society, the vulnerable paid in society, those who are very in both the formal and some elements of the informal economy, an opportunity to add something to their income to be able to cope with the increase of cost of living arising now as out of taxes and other related challenges that has really been imposed on working people. We all talk to the effect that times are hard, so the earlier time that we conclude negotiations on the national minimum wage, the better it will be for the least paid person in the country. What happens is that the moment it is determined, an agreement is reached, is supported by law, is gazetted and is supported by law. So any employer who pays less than the national minimum wage is flouting the laws of the land. I must, however, indicate that enforcement has been a major challenge, and it behoves on workers and employers to ensure that workers' rights under the under national minimum wage fixing is not undermined, is not denied in any way. Where there are unions, the unions insist on its implementation. So we're looking forward to having this 2014 national minimum wage fixed as quickly as possible. So after we have determined the national minimum for the whole country, then the sector arrangements come in. It is from there that we will also go and negotiate for the public sector minimum. What we are talking about is the national minimum, is the platform below which nobody should be paid. And particularly because the public sector minimum is slightly above the national minimum, it is only when you have been able to determine the national minimum, then we can come to talk about the public sector.